FC.
I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet, we control your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Does anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is Key Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. My name's Bridget. I'll be your net control for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net call every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subjects of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become familiar with the night sky and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. This net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, for this net. With priority, our emergency traffic may enter the net at any time using the code sign, break, and your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. Stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmission. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check MCO Echo Link are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echo Link node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio videos are available online. Go to www.w5fc.org right now for the complete list. Others about popular nets. All amateur radio operators are welcome. You need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. The net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. First, general announcements, and the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events. Then National Space Society events, the discussion topic of the evening. what can you see in the sky tonight? A featured constellation or object or topic. Recent astronomical discoveries. Space exploration and space history. Visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. Astronomical Q&A. And if there's time, 73 rounds. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. So let's start with low in short time. Please come with your call sign phonetically, your name, and your location. Please come now.
Golf 5 Papa, Mike in Richardson.
Okay, we got KG5D, Mike. Next, let's go to general check-in. Please come now.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike Portal. This is November 5, Bravo, Bill and Irving.
Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn and Louisville.
Oh, Foxtrot 5, Zulu, Bravo, Lima, Bill, Farmers Branch.
Kilo Echo 5, India, Charlie, X-Ray, Tom, Louisville.
We've got NT5PM Tony, N5BB Bill, KC5OZT Carolyn, KF5ZBL Bill, and KE5IGX Tom. And after Tom, it sounded like somebody was trying to get in, but they were complete static. So if that was you, please try again.
Kilo 5, Alpha, November, Papa, Allen in Dallas. Alpha 5, Alpha Hotel, Robert and Richard.
Okay, we got K5ANP Allen, and the next station, AA5AH Robert. Hey, do we have anybody on echoing? Give you a couple of extra minutes.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo, Zulu Whiskey, J near Weatherford.
This is November 5, Yankee Echo Oscar, Stephen, San Antonio.
This is Kilo India 5, Bravo November Papa, Luis in Fort Worth.
Link, we have KG5BZWJ, N5YEO Steven, and KI5BNP Lee. Do we have any other check-ins through any mode? Please come out.
This is November 5 Alpha Bravo Alpha, Andre in Dallas. Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas.
Okay, we got November 5 ABA Andre and W5 EBB David. Okay, we'll pick up some more check-ins as we go. And this is WB50ZL. So, do we have any general announcements for this evening's net? That could be ham, astronomical, space, or general interest to licensed ham.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike.
NC5TM. Go ahead, Tony.
Brenda, we do have several things coming up in the next few days. We do have, for example, a meeting on the air tomorrow right here at 7. It's open to anyone who'd like to share what's been going on in their ham world, whether or not you're a club member. We also have the annual pizza party coming up this Tuesday at the next regular club meeting. That's this Tuesday, December 4th. Pizza parties at 7 p.m. at the Dallas Medical Center, northeast corner of Webb Chapel and LBJ. In the third floor community room, you know, our usual meeting place. Bring a pizza with some sides to share. Bring some funny videos or pictures. We'll hang out and have fun. Also do have the winter dinner coming up a week from Tuesday on December 11th. That will be at 7:30 p.m. at the Spring Creek Barbecue in Addison. We have a couple of great radios for door prizes. You can buy raffle tickets at the club meeting or at the dinner itself. And there's more details at w5fc.org. Please don't forget that this is not the last net of the evening. We have an Afterglow movie discussion net coming up tonight on this repeater at about 10:30 or 10:35 p.m. We're going to be talking about the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai in the Eighth Dimension, a cult classic from the 80s. This is NP5PM, and as always, there are more details on all these announcements at w5fc.org.
Thank you, Tony. The MSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Group is units available to Dallas residents. On Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central, you'll need Echolink installed and must be registered. You can find the net under Groups and AMSAT. Also, live audio link is available on their website, which is www.amsatnet.com. That originates in Houston, Texas. The Dallas AMSAT net in the Dallas-Fort Worth is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater 147.14 megahertz, PL 110.9, positive offset. So, I think we've got a pretty packed program, so I think we'll skip all of the nets that we have. It's all on the website if you need it. So, tonight's Afterglow information, K5IC. Would you present that, Tom?
Yes, I do. Now listen up, everybody. Dr. Banzai removed the flux capacitor from his rocket car and tossed it aside. That's the last time I buy something from a thrift store with the word working scrawled on its side, he thought. The flux capacitor burped, then went dark. Banzai pulled out a bag. Inside was another object from the thrift store. Oscillation overthruster needs power code, it said. Power cord. Oh, I got them right. Needs a power cord, it said on the side. Bonsai had exactly the correct power cord, and this one still had the grounding prong still attached. Will Buckaroo Bonsai find the 8th dimension? Can we sit through the coolest closing credits of any motion picture history? Well, will there be a sequel? Find out tonight at 10:30. The next Afterglow movie is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. Back to you, Net Control, KE5I6.
All right, you can keep up with all DARC events and activities and nets by going to the club website, w5fc.org. Okay, do we have any additional check-ins?
'05, Juliet, Delta Whiskey, John in Coppell.
Hey, we got Kilo 5, Juliet, Delta Whiskey, John. Welcome to the net. Okay, the Texas Astronomy Society of Dallas. Is anybody that can tell us about their upcoming events? Our meetings are held on the fourth Friday of every month except December at the University of Texas at Dallas campus in Richardson. Meeting begins at 7:30 in the Science Learning Center building at SLC on campus Maple. Only parking lots H, I, or J. Parking anywhere else on campus could result in tickets. The meetings include programs presented by members or guest speakers, a slideshow of the current constellation of the month, and items for sale such as T-shirts, books, and observing aids. You can go to texasastro.org to find more information. And I don't know where their observing party is tonight. Does anyone have information on that? Okay, National Space Society events and activities. I'm going to ask InSight DB Bill to fill us in on what's going on there. Okay, I don't know if we circle back to this if we need to later on. So we'll go into our presentation, and tonight we're going to be talking about NASA's InSight Mars lander. So I know it's been in the news a lot, and we're all excited, and maybe you've read a lot about it. I have too, but I can't really get enough of it because it's just too exciting. So this is going to be a non-roving lander. InSight is been called an acronym. It stands for well, I can't find that now. Interior exploration using seismic investigation, geodesy, and heat transport, and that's a mouthful. I just have this fantasy that tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of years from now, the human race kind of mostly died out through an ice age, and then they slowly came back and eventually got into traveling to other planets, and then they go to Mars, and they find that it is inhabited by an ancient race of robots. And it will be a lot of fun to see them try to figure out what happened there, but they won't know. Or maybe the robots will create their own community and create more robots, fix each other up, and all get together in one place and start mining minerals and making metals and making more robots. Anyway, it was just a fanciful idea that I had. The other landers were interested in finding if there is life or if there's any condition there that might have had promoted life in the past. Maybe, maybe not. Now, Mars is covered with red dust. That's why it's called a red planet. Even with the naked eye, it appears reddish. However, that is only skin deep. And when Curiosity drilled about between 2 or 3 inches, the rock dust that came out was light gray. So we'll see what we find. This lander is going to drill 5 meters into the surface. We'll see what lies under there. It carries seismometers that will measure Mars quakes, tiny vibrations triggered by planetary activity into the planet's crust. And as these tremors travel through rocks, they reveal the thickness and composition of the planet's internal layers. By mapping what Mars looks like on the inside, the InSight mission could also help to explain the violent processes that shaped other rocky planets in the solar system at the same time. By studying Mars, they say we'll be able to learn more about Earth, Venus, Mercury, and even the Moon, or even exoplanets around other stars. So I want to talk a little bit about the payload. There's a seismic experiment for interior structure. We'll take precise measurements of Mars quakes and other internal activity to better understand the planet's history and structure. Also investigate how the Martian crust and mantle respond to the effects of meteorite impacts, which gives clues to the planet's inner surface. SIS, that's S-E-I-S, that's the acronym for this, was provided by the French Space Agency with the participation of the Institut and a bunch of institutes. The seismometer will detect sources, including atmospheric waves and gravimetric signals, tidal forces from Mars's moon Phobos, up to high-frequency seismic waves of 50 hertz. Ice was also found to have a vacuum leak, which could not be corrected in time for the 60 launch of InSight, forcing a 2-year mission postponement. The site's instrument is supported by a fleet of meteorological tools to characterize atmospheric disturbances that might affect the experiment. These include a vector magnetometer provided by UCLA that will measure magnetic disturbances such as those caused by the Martian ionosphere, a suite of air temperature, wind speed, and wind direction sensors based on Spanish Rover Environmental Monitoring Station, and a barometer from JPL. Then there's the heat flow and physical properties package. This is provided by the German Aerospace Center. It is a self-penetrating heat flow probe, referred to as a self-hammering snail, and nicknamed the Mole. It was designed to burrow as deep as 5 meters below the Martian surface while trailing a tether with embedded heat sensors to measure how efficiently it flows through Mars' core, and thus reveal unique information about the planet's interior and how it was evolved over time. It trails a tether containing precise temperature sensors every 10 centimeters to measure the temperature profile of the subsurface. The tractor mole of the instrument was provided by Polish company Astronomy. The rotation and interior structure experiment, led by the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, is a radio science experiment that leaves the landers expand radio to provide precise measurements of planetary rotation to better understand the interior of Mars. X-band radio tracking capable of an accuracy under 2 meters will build on previous Viking program and Mars Pathfinder data. The previous data allows the stars to be estimated, but with more data for InSight, the nutation amplitude can be determined. Once spin axis direction, precession, and nutation amplitudes are better understood, it should be possible to calculate the size and density of the Martian core and mantle. This should increase the understanding of the formation of terrestrial planets and rocky exoplanets. Then we have temperature and winds for InSight. So, Mars weather at the landing site. The laser retro reflector for InSight is a corner cube retro reflector provided by the Italian Space Agency and mounted on InSight's top deck. It will enable passive laser range finding by orbiters even after the lander is retired, and would function as a node in the proposed Mars geophysical network. This device previously flew on the Supernova lander as the instrument for landing roving laser retro reflector investigation, and is an aluminum dome, 54 millimeter in diameter and 25 grams in mass, featuring fused silica reflectors. The instrument deployment arm is a 2.4 meter robotic arm that will be used to deploy the size and HP3 instruments to Mars surface. It also features the IDC camera. The instrument deployment camera is a color camera based on the Mars Exploration Rover and Mars Science Laboratory NavCam design. It is mounted on the instrument deployment arm and will image the instruments from the lander's deck and provide stereoscopic views of the terrain surrounding the landing site. It features a 45-degree field of view and uses a 1024 by 1024 pixel detector. The IDC sensor was originally black and white for best resolution. The program was enacted and tested with a standard HAZ-CAM, and if its development deadlines and budgets were met, is reflected with a color sensor. And the instant context camera is a color camera based on the MER MSL HAZ-CAM design. It is mounted below the lander's deck with its wide-angle 120-degree panoramic field of view will provide a complementary view of the instrument deployment area. Like the IDC, it uses a 1024 by 1024 pixel CCD detector. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up there. There's so much online available. You can go and look, and this is so exciting. One of the things I really liked was the two CubeSats that went with it, and they just kept on going. They didn't land, but they told us when it landed, so that was pretty exciting. I know it was quite a knuckle moment for a lot of folks. All right. Going to, this is WB50ZL. Let's see if there are any other check-ins. Alrighty, none heard. What can you see in the sky over the next couple of weeks? From earthsky.org. Tom usually presents this. Would you like to, or would you rather that I read it? KE5ICX.
I'll be happy to read it, Miss Brenda. KE5ICX. All right, this is from earthsky.org /tonight. You go to the website and see the couple of charts that they brought up. East before dawn is the first one, And this is what they say for tonight. In the coming mornings, December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, actually tomorrow night, I guess, look eastward before sunrise for the moon and Venus. If your sky is clear, you can't miss them. They're always the brightest and second brightest celestial bodies, respectively, to light up the night sky. Plus, now, Venus is at its maximum brightness for this morning apparition, which is its greatest illuminated extent, falling around December 2nd. The moon and Venus are so bright and beautiful that you'll easily spot them in the morning dawn. And if you're willing to get up an hour or two before sunrise, you'll see the bright star Arcturus in the north of the moon, and Venus and the star Spike close to Venus. If you peered at Venus through a telescope now, you'll find its waxing crescent phase. That's because Venus passed between us and the sun on October 26th, and lighted half, or the day side, is still facing mostly away from us. In early December of 2018, meanwhile, the moon is waning, and the phase of the waning crescent moon and the waxing crescent Venus are almost identical. Both worlds are now showing us disks that are about 1/4 or 25% illuminated by sunshine. If you have a telescope, remember, you'll get a crisper view of Venus' phase at dawn, when its brilliant world has climbed higher above your horizon and its glare has been reduced by the breaking day. Today, the moon's phase will continue to wane or get smaller as the moon falls closer to the sunrise over the next several mornings. On December 5th and 6th, the thin lunar crescent will swing by the planet Mercury, though Mercury will be quite hard to spot in the glow of the morning twilight. Binoculars might help. The news is that Mercury is brightening day by day, moreover, and is coming up earlier by the day. So, by the middle of December, Mercury should become a fine morning object. The moon's phase wanes, Venus' phases waxes as this moon pulls ahead of us in the smaller, faster orbit, causing its illuminated or day side to slowly turn our way. When Venus' disk reaches its half-lit waxing quarter phase on January 6th of next year, this planet will be at its greatest elongation. And there is a chart up over on the website and on the video stream called Conjunction Mechanics. You'll see what it looks like. Basic geometry, kids, it really is, and it shows how the phases would look. After Venus attains this milestone in the morning sky, the planet will begin slowly but surely sinking toward the sunrise. It'll take many months to do this as it moves ahead of us in orbit. Venus will finally pass more or less behind the sun from Earth at what astronomers call the superior conjunction on August 14th of next year. At that juncture, Venus will transition out of the morning sky and into the evening sky. Mercury and Venus are called inferior planets because they orbit the sun inside Earth's orbit. Although Venus is about twice Mercury's distance from the sun, Venus is nonetheless the hotter of these two worlds. Climate does not depend on the sun alone, but also on the planet's atmosphere. Venus's thick atmosphere creates greenhouse effect that brings Venus surface temperatures to 864 degrees Fahrenheit. Even though the moon and Earth are virtually in the same distance from the sun, the moon's daytime temperature is much hotter, and its nighttime temperatures are much cooler than here on Earth. That's because the Earth has a protective atmosphere, whereas the moon has none at all. Bottom line, the next several mornings, December 2nd through the 4th, wait for the waning crescent moon to sweep by Venus, the solar system's hottest planet. Some of you might also catch the moon near Mercury, the solar system's innermost planet, on December 5th. This from the U.S. Naval Observatory. They have the following. The moon moves through the great winter circle of the rising stars of the springtime sky gracing the pre-dawn hours. Last quarter occurs on the 29th at 7:19 Eastern Standard. Look for the bright planet Regulus, less than 2 degrees south of the moon on the morning of the 29th. By week's end, her waning crescent cavorts the dazzling Venus during the pre-dawn sky. For the interesting sights in and around the constellation Perseus, one of the most fascinating is the star that normally constellation's second brightest star, Algol, the demon star. In the mythology, the star represents the severed head of Gorgon Medusa, slain by Perseus in one of his more heroic exploits. The star usually shines a bit fainter than Merfac, but every 2.87 days it fades by over a full magnitude and remains dim for several hours. The planet will be at minimum brightness on November 30th at 12:02 Eastern Standard, and again on December 3rd, 8:51 p.m. Eastern Standard. If you have binoculars handy, just look 5 degrees west of Algol for a fuzzy knot that betrays the position of Messier 34, one of the autumn's best galactic star clusters. It's a real treat to observe it in a small telescope. Another binocular treat surrounds its star Merfac, which sits in the middle of the sprawling scattering stars known as Merlot 20. Follow the long tine of Perseus' wishbone, you'll run into one of the most storied groupings in the sky. I'll get it right. We know it is Pleiades, or the Seven Sisters, and it is the fixture in the sky lore of just about all cultures that inhabit the Earth's northern hemisphere. In Greek mythology, the diminutive group represents 7 daughters of Atlas who are continually evading the amorphous attentions of Orion. To relieve them of his incessant pursuit, Zeus turned the sisters into doves and placed them in the sky. Pleiades form a true star cluster, some 440 light years distant, and its stars are some of the youngest known in our galaxy. Long exposure images still show the remnant clouds of gas and dust that form the cluster's constituent stars. Under favorable conditions, most of us can see 6 or 7 cluster members with our unaided eyes, while some keen-eyed observers can spot a dozen. Telescopes of increasing apertures reveal more stars, and the latest surveys with space-based instruments have determined that over 1,000 stars make up the group. The vast majority of these are very faint brown dwarf stars, barely visible in our sensitive instruments. The brightest members shine with an icy blue tint and are one of my favorite sights in my low-power 4-inch refractor telescope. Onto the planet Saturn is just barely visible in the fading twilight of the early evening. The ring planet sets shortly after evening twilight ends, and you'll be hard-pressed to find him against the dark sky. He will reach conjunction with the sun just after the start of the new year. Mars is now the only bright planet visible in the evening sky. He now shines at 0 magnitude, some 10 times less intense than he was at opposition last summer. But his location among the faint stars of Aquarius make his ruddy tint stand out in deepening evening twilight. You'll find him in the south at around 6 p.m. and he sets shortly before midnight. This week, he closes in on the 3rd magnitude star Lambda Aquarii, passing within a degree of the star on the evenings of the 3rd and 4th. This week, Mars, welcomed by the new emissary from Earth, the Mars InSight lander, which settled gently on the smooth plain in the region known as Elysium. Mars InSight will spend the next 2 years studying the interior of the red planet, hopefully revealing secrets about Mars' formation. And finally, Venus beams down to the southeastern sky as morning twilight begins to brighten the sky. She is at her brightest for the current morning apparition, so you should have no trouble spotting her in the sky lightness. In her vicinity of this bright star Spica, which I mentioned earlier, during the duration of the week. Look for the waning crescent moon nearby on the mornings of the 3rd and 4th. That's it from me. Back to net control. This is KE5ICX.
Thanks, Tom. This is WB50ZL. Do we have any more check-ins right now? Okay, let's move on to our featured constellation, Carolyn KC5OZT. Go ahead.
Well, tonight, instead of a constellation, it's going to be an object. A new supernova discovered in M77. And remember, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, we did the constellation Cetus. And we mentioned M77. Well, on November 24th, it's a survey, a DLT-40 survey. It's a observing program. It picked up a 15th magnitude supernova in M77. It's a bright barred spiral galaxy in Cetus. And it is only 50 minutes southeast of 4th magnitude Delta Ceti. It's exciting whenever a supernova is discovered in a Messier galaxy, because they're among the closer and brighter galaxies and often host supernova visible in small telescopes. The M77 has an apparent magnitude of 9.6, so you can easily find that in a telescope as small as 3 inches. However, you'll need a 10-inch or larger scope to see the supernova, at least at the moment. It's been designated as 2018 IVC. It's India Victor Charlie. And the new supernova is brightened to about magnitude 14.5 and appears as a tiny pinprick of light about 8.7 minutes east and 16.1 minutes north of the center of the galaxy along the edge of the bright inner disk. Spectroscopy reveals the new star as a Type 2 supernova in its early stages, implying that it could brighten a lot further. But, of course, not to throw water on the fire. Intervening dust within the galaxy is dimmed and red explosion, so it's difficult to predict exactly how bright it might become. Observation around November 25th put it at about magnitude 13.6. And I don't know if Tom has a chart up showing the location or not. But if you find Delta Ceti, you can find M77. And while you're in the neighborhood, take a look at the variable star Mira, MIRA. We mentioned that in the constellation. It's now rising toward maximum. But getting back to the supernova, this is the first recorded supernova in M77. And though it looks a little more like a faint star, the reality is we're witnessing the collapse and explosion of a highly evolved supergiant star. The debris from the blast is expanding outward at some 13,500 kilometers per second, or that's about 30.2 million miles per hour. That's a little more than 1 Earth diameter per second. It's mind-boggling. And of course, going along for the ride are the complex elements that were forged in the star's core and are now released into space to seed future generations of stars and their planetary systems. The M77 lies, like I said, 47 million light years from Earth and Cetus. And after all those years of travel, how fortunate that the light from the supernova arrived just in time to track it down without a bright moon and galaxy well placed for viewing during evening hours. And if you want to observe it, to find it, start with the star Minkar. That's magnitude 0.5. That's the second brightest star in Cetus. And then slide about 2 inches to the southwest of Delta Ceti. Set Delta off to one side of the low magnification field of view. You should see M77 on the opposite side, less than a degree to the southeast. The writer of this article says to dig up the stellar cinder, he recommends increasing the magnification 200 times or higher and studying the location along the bright inner disk for a stellar point. And this will be the supernova. Never fear magnification. You may need to go north of 300 times depending on whether it brightens further or not. If seeing is poor, it can be difficult to find the star in a bright galactic environment. Don't give up. Try again on another night. Coincidentally, the bright comet that we've been mentioning, 46P stroke Vertanen, passes about 7 degrees southeast of the galaxy on the nights of December 8th and 9th. And if you want to search for some more information for updates, there's a David Bishop has an excellent, it's called Latest Supernova page, and he has a link to this supernova. And so this is something new to hope you can try seeing it. And you might check AVSO. They may have charts for it. I haven't checked, but it's something new, and we don't get to see these too often, so take a look and see if you can find it. With that, unless there's any questions, I'll turn it back to you, Brenda. KC50ZT.
Thank you very much, Carolyn. This is KC50ZL. Do we have any other check-ins? All right, well, I'm going to proceed with recent astronomical discoveries. First article is Newly Discovered Supernova Complicates Origin Story Series. The light from the explosion's first hours reveals that the genesis of these phenomena is even more mysterious than previously thought. A supernova discovered by an international group of astronomers, including Carnegie, Tom Holy, and, I can't pronounce names, provides an unprecedented look at the first moments of a violent storm explosion. The light from the explosion's first hours showed an unexpected pattern which Carnegie's Anthony Pirro analyzed to reveal that the genesis of these phenomena is even more mysterious than previously thought. Type 1A supernovae are fundamental fundamental to our understanding of the cosmos. Their nuclear furnaces are crucial for generating many of the elements around us, and they are used as cosmic rulers to measure distances across the universe. Despite their importance, the actual mechanism that triggers the Type 1A supernova explosion has remained elusive for decades. That's why catching them in the act is crucial. Astronomers have long tried to get detailed data at the initial moments of these explosions with the hope of figuring out how these phenomena are triggered. This mainly happened in February of this year with the discovery of a Type 1A supernova called ASASSN-18BT, also known as SN201808. Was discovered by the All-Sky Automated Survey for Supernovae, an international network of telescopes headquartered at The Ohio State University that routinely scans the sky for supernovae and other cosmic explosions. NASA's Kepler Space Telescope was simultaneously able to take complementary data of this event. Kepler was designed to be incredibly sensitive to small changes in light for its mission of detecting extrasolar planets, so it was able to obtain especially detailed information about the explosion's genesis. It is the nearest and brightest supernova yet observed by Kepler, so it offered an excellent opportunity to test the predominant theories of supernova formation. Combining data from ASAS-SN, Kepler, and telescopes around the world, astronomers realized that it looked unusual during its first couple of days. Many supernovae show a gradual increase in the light they put out, said Drought, who is jointly appointed by the University of Toronto. But for this event, you can clearly see there's something unusual and exciting happening in the early times, an unexpected additional emission. Type 1A supernovae originate from the thermonuclear explosion of a white dwarf star, the dead core left over by a sun-like star after it exhausts its nuclear fuel. Material must be added to the white dwarf from the companion star to trigger the explosion, but the nature of that companion star and how the fuel is transferred has long been debated. One possibility is that this additional light is seen during the supernova's early times could be from the exploding white dwarf colliding with the companion star. Although this was the initial hypothesis, detailed comparisons with Piro's theoretical modeling work demonstrated that this additional light may have a different, unexplained origin. While the steep increase in ASASSN-18BT's early brightness could indicate that the explosion collides with another star, our follow-up data don't fit predictions for how this should look. Other possibilities, such as an unusual distribution of radioactive material in the exploded star, are a better explanation for what we saw. More observations and more early discoveries like this one will hopefully help us differentiate between different models and better understand the origins of these explosions. Nature's always finding new ways to surprise us, and unique observations like this are great for motivating creative new approaches to how we think about these explosions at Piro. As a theorist at the Carnegie Observatories, it's so helpful and inspiring to be right near the observers who are making these key measurements. This supports a hypothesis put forward in recent work from the Carnegie Supernova Project, led by Maximilian Strixinger of Aarhus University and co-led by Shappi and Piro, that make two distinct populations of Type 1A supernovae, those that show early emission and those that do not. Thanks to ASAS-SN and the next generation of surveys that are now monitoring the sky every night, astronomers will find even more new supernovae and catch them at the moment of explosion. As events are found and studied, they will hopefully home in on the solution to the long-standing mystery of how these stellar explosions originate. are actually thousands. Based on computer simulations and new observations from the Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array, ALMA, researchers found that the rings of gas surrounding active supermassive black holes are not simple donut shapes. Instead, gas expelled from the center interacts with the falling gas to create a dynamic circulation pattern similar to a water fountain in a city park. Most galaxies host a supermassive black hole, millions or billions of times as heavy as the sun, and their centers. Some of these black holes swallow material quite actively, but astronomers have believed that rather than falling directly into the black hole, matter instead builds up around the active black hole, forming a donut structure. Fumi Izumi, a researcher at the National Astronomical Society of Japan, led a team of astronomers that used ALMA to observe the supermassive black hole in the Circinus galaxy located 14 million light years away from the Earth in the direction of the constellation CIRCINUS. I probably butchered the pronunciation. And compared their observations to computer simulation of gas falling towards a black hole made with the Cray XC30 ATERUI supercomputer operated by NAOJ. This comparison revealed that the presumptive donut is not actually a rigid structure, but instead a complete complex collection of highly dynamic gaseous components. First, cold molecular gas falling towards the black hole forms a disk near the plane of rotation. As it approaches the black hole, this gas is heated so the molecules break down into component atoms and ions. Some of these atoms are then expelled above and below the disk rather than being absorbed by the black hole. This hot atomic gas falls back onto the disk, creating a turbulent three-dimensional structure. These three components circulate continuously, similar to a water fountain in a city park. Previous theoretical models and a priori assumptions of rigid donuts, explains Kiichi Wada, a theoretician at Kagoshima University in Japan, who led the simulation study and is a member of the research team. Rather than starting from assumptions, our simulation started from the physical equation and showed for the first time that gas circulation naturally forms a donut. Our simulation can also explain various observational features of this system. By investigating the motion and distribution of both the cold molecular gas and warm atomic gas with ALMA, we demonstrated the origin of the so-called donut structure around active black holes, said Izumi. Based on this discovery, we need to rewrite the astronomy textbook. Okay, both of those are from ScienceDaily.com. This is WB50ZL. Do we have any new check-in?
Foxtrot 5, Quebec, Delta, Quebec, Eric and Garland.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy and Sherman on Echolink.
Space exploration and space history. Nicole and Tony, NT5TM. Go ahead, Tony.
Brenda, thank you. Do you need a second to acknowledge those check-ins?
I only heard one, and I did acknowledge him. Did I miss somebody? Did I hear somebody?
I heard Billy KF5 PDS. Maybe I'm hearing things. I'm very sleepy.
I'm sorry, I did not hear her, but we will definitely check her in. KF5 PDS and Billy, stand by. I acknowledged Eric already, KF5 QDQ. Are there any others out there? All right, well, thanks for that correction, Tony. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. And again, I apologize if I was just hearing things out of space. I'm very sleepy right now. Brenda, thank you very much for that concise and organized presentation on the InSight lander. Yes, that is our most important piece this week. InSight has landed, and its preliminary operations have been going very well. There are, I'd like to mention, by way of upcoming news, more probes, more important probes on the way to the Red Planet. NASA's Mars 2020 rover, well, that'll be aimed at Mars for the launch in 2020. Likewise, the European Space Agency's next ExoMars probe, targeted for launch at the 2020 launch opportunity, will carry a large rover as well. Now, this is one to watch because Mars is hard and they've never done this before. The United Arab Emirates is also wanting to participate in the 2020 Mars launch opportunity with their Al-Amal, or Hope, Mars orbiter mission. So there'll be a lot of things to watch firing at Mars in 2020. In more, well, news, don't quite know how to say that, OSIRIS-REx will be arriving at asteroid Bennu this Monday. OSIRIS-REx will be arriving at Bennu this Monday. If you say that at lunch, people will think you're talking in a secret code. This is an asteroid orbiter that will then carefully scoop material from the surface of this carbonaceous asteroid with a sample return arriving back at Earth in September of 2023. One space-related historical birthday I'd like to mention this month. And this week, that is Barbara Morgan. Astronaut Barbara Morgan was born on November 28, 1951. She was the backup for Krista McAuliffe. She was selected as the backup teacher for the Teacher in Space program. The ill-fated 1986 launch of STS-51L Shuttle Challenger put that program to an end. She did apply to become a regular astronaut. She was competitively selected and trained as a mission specialist, and she flew on STS-118 in August of 2007. She later returned to her first love, teaching, but it's pretty neat that she did get to fly and did become the first teacher in space. At other events in space history, on November 27, 1963, Explorer 18 was launched. This was a relatively simple probe, as many of the Explorers were, meant to study interplanetary and distant exoplanetary energetic particles, cosmic rays, magnetic fields, and plasmas. I should take a nap. In 1964, on November 28th, Mariner 4 was launched. Mariner 4 was a paired spacecraft. Its twin was Mariner 3. Mariner 3 suffered a tragedy when its payload fairing failed to separate from the launch vehicle and doomed it to a fiery fate. Mariner 4 did launch successfully, made a second burn from Earth parking orbit, and successfully traveled to Mars, reaching Mars on July 14th and 15th, 1965. This was before the days of landers and rovers. This was just a simple flyby, but Mariner 4 was a big success. It returned the first high-resolution pictures taken of the surface of Mars. NASA was so inexperienced at processing these images that you didn't get the beautiful full-color pictures shown on computer screens. This is a famous case for astronomers with colored pencils and markers colored in squares of graph paper to produce the first approximate color picture of Mars. They could read the data, but they had no way yet to project it. Mariner 4 just so happened to look at parts of Mars that were extremely moon-like, flat and cratered, which did give scientists a bit of a false impression, but there were lots of opportunities to correct that, thanks in large part to Mariner 4's success. On November 29, 1961, John Glenn was selected for the first Mercury orbital flight with a crew. Gus Grissom and Alan Shepard had flown on Mercury Redstone missions, John Glenn would fly on Mercury Atlas 6, and Scott Carpenter was his backup. The flight was a great success. Same day as NASA made that internal selection, Mercury Atlas 5 was launched. This was one of those famous or infamous missions that carried a monkey, Enos, a 37.5-pound chimpanzee. There was a bit of a failure. They had some trouble with the spacecraft and returned him to Earth after only 2 orbits instead of 3. But an astronaut would have been able to flip some switches and correct for that problem and complete the full mission. Enos did survive the mission and was found to be in excellent condition, and the Mercury spacecraft was considered ready for crewed orbital flight with humans. In 1965, on November 29th, Alouette 2, Skylark 2 was launched from Canada, the second Canadian satellite used for ionospheric research. And in 1967, on November 29th, WRESat-1, Weapons Research Satellite 1, became the first Australian satellite. Australia used a surplus U.S. rocket that had been meant for a ballistic sounding flight. It was able to place a small satellite in orbit, making Australia only the third country to put a satellite in orbit from its own territory. Other countries had often just blocked services from the U.S. or Soviet Union. Speaking of which, on December 1st, 1960, Horrible Sputnik, prototype Sputnik 3, was launched by the Soviet Union. This was a test flight of the Vostok spacecraft, which would, of course, be used for crewed flights with humans. It carried 2 space dogs, Pecholka and Mushka. These were the last dogs to die on a Soviet space mission. While they had attempted to recover the spacecraft, it was destroyed by its own self-destruct mechanism during re-entry. They were worried that it might re-enter off course and give people from other a chance to inspect their spacecraft. On a less paranoid and less lethal note, December 1st, 2013 marked the launch of 2 very famous probes from China, the Chang'e 3 unmanned lunar rover, the lunar lander, and the U-2 lunar rover. Chang'e 3 was a lunar lander, the first vehicle to soft land on the moon in many years, since the Soviet probe in the 70s. And U-2 was a delightful little rover with 2 big solar panels that looked like rabbit ears. They were popular with school children the world over. And that's this week in space history. I hope I didn't bobble that too badly. Thank you very much for listening. This is T5TM.
Thank you very much, Tony. That's fascinating. This is WV50ZL. Any more check-ins?
WQ5 calls Juliet Tango. Kilo Golf 5 Whiskey Victor Lima.
Okay, I think we had W5GJT. Don't have a name. Would you come back with the name and correct me on the call if I'm wrong, please?
This is Whiskey 5 call Juliet Tango. Name is Steve. And I'm from Paddleton.
Okay, thanks, Steve. And then KG5WBL. Get your name, please.
KG5WBL, James.
Okay, James, thanks. All right, moving on. Visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. KE5ICX. Would you like to cover these, Tom?
Be happy to do so. I also wanted to mention, you may want to put JJ in Carrollton, November 5, India Mike Sierra. I don't remember if he checked in or not. I'm not keeping an active log tonight, but I just wanted to let you know that he is listening but unable to transmit. That's over on Echolink. I will continue with heavens-above.com. You go here, plug in your coordinates, where you're at, and get all sorts of interesting things about satellite passes that go overhead, both visible and of radio interest. As you know, there's a number of AMSAT, Oscars that are flying overhead as well. They provide that information without having to go to programs or special Kepler information. You just go to the website, heavens-above, heavens with a hyphen in between, above.com, and you can go ahead and get all this information directly, either on your cell phone or a computer, which is what I'm using tonight, a computer, my Mac. So this is what I've got from my coordinates here in Louisville. We have the Tiangong 2, that is the Chinese space station, the second one. I do not believe any tachinauts have been at the station yet, but it was launched around earlier this year. December 10th has a good pass. Let's see here if I can do this correctly. Wow. And where's my chart? Here it comes. Oh, Tom's getting tired too. I dozed off for a little bit. I didn't get my afternoon nap. Okay, Tiangong 2 has one very good pass, December 10th, 4.1 magnitude at 1906 local time out of the southwest. It reaches its highest point at 1909. It's about 3 minutes later at 59 degrees out of the southeast. And it'll reach its, and then will fall into shadow at 1910, about 20 seconds later, actually, as it goes into shadow. And this one does indeed. It goes through, let's see, Sculptor. It passes Cetus and then drops into shadow after that. Why did I give you that lackluster pass? Because there aren't any really good passes right now. NVSat, which is a polar satellite, this one has our best chances, and it's my only other satellite this evening to talk about. This one is, let's see if it'll pop up. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4 good passes. The first one's on December 3rd, a couple of days from now. This one is 2.8 magnitude at 1911 local time. Rises out of the south-southeast, reaches its highest point at 72 degrees at 1816, about 5 minutes later, then falls at 1921. This one is a full pass, once again, almost overhead, 72 degrees. Not too bad. Good pass it has. It's 3.7 magnitude on December 5th at 1937. Reaches its highest point at 1941. This is out of the south to the west-southwest. All of these passes are very similar in character, and then falls at 1946. Pass December 6th is a 3.1 magnitude at 1900 or 7 p.m. Out of the south-southeast, reaches its highest point at 1905, and then falls to due north at 1910. And then finally, the last pass I've got for you this evening, they were very poor this week. December 8th, 3.1 magnitude at 1925 in the evening, out of the south. What a surprise. 1930, it reaches its highest point. Another surprise, only this time it's at 74 degrees, and then falls to the north-northwest at 1935. There you have it. This is what I have from heavens-above.com. You can go to their website, plug in those coordinates. And just to remind everyone, if you're into amateur radio satellites, all of those are also recorded on this website. You just have to plug them in as well, and it will produce a celestial chart showing where they're going through the sky. But of course, if it's during the day, who cares? You're just going to point your antenna north or south or east or west, depending on which way they're coming, and eventually find them. So it is an interesting challenge, especially during the day. So that's it from me. This is KE5ICX, back to net control.
Tom, this is Debbie of OZL. Let's circle back. InSight DB, Bill. You didn't answer when I called on you earlier. Do you have any information about the North Texas Space Society? I will tell you something that I know is their usual meetings are on the second Tuesday at 3 o'clock at Spring Barbecue. But this, some having their annual Christmas party at a member's home. So don't go to Spring Creek, and they don't publish the address. You have to ask somebody, or they'll send you information if you're a member. So that's all I know. I'm sure in January they'll be back to their usual second Thursday meetings at Spring Creek. All right. We're running a little ahead of time tonight. So how about astronomical Q&A? Do you have any questions?
KE5ICX, I do have a question.
KE5ICX, go ahead.
I'm not sure if we got everybody on checked in or maybe listening in. I am curious about what would be considered. There are various binoculars that are available for field sky observations. If I wanted to see an object of interest, let's say I wanted to look at Andromeda Galaxy or M13 or something like that, or I was looking to just kind of pick out, say, Pleiades. Pleiades is a good choice. We talked about it tonight. I am curious about an appropriate telescope aperture magnification that would fit, say, looking at Messier objects and that at night. That might be that is practical. I know you can get something very large, you can get huge telescopes, you can get underpowered binoculars. Does anybody perhaps have an idea about what is the best all-purpose binocular optics that I might be able to use, binoculars that I might be able to use on an evening? KE5ICX.
Okay, does anybody have a reply to that? Please come out.
P.
K25P, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I'm only running a couple of watts, so I hope I'm hitting the repeater okay. Well, binoculars, any 10 by 80. Some of the Messier objects are a little bit dim for those, but the thing is, on a 20 by 80, you're going to need some kind of a tripod, or because they're too heavy to hold. But you could probably go by a 10 with like a by, maybe something like that would work fine. I had no problem at all seeing the missing objects with a low power eyepiece. Maybe only about, let's see, what was I using with the ESP? Probably like maybe a 20 millimeter or longer eyepiece, because most of those objects are pretty wide. You get like M31, and it's really wide. And so you want the lowest power that you can get, because you want to be able to see the whole thing. But it doesn't, any standard binoculars, any 10 by 50s, or if you want to get some big ones, 20 by 80s, but to do that you're going to have some kind of a stabilizing mechanism, like a parallelogram or something like that, because they're too heavy to hold up there. Did that answer your question? KG5P.
E5 ICX, would you like to respond?
Yeah, okay, for handheld 10 by 50 is best. If I want a little more power, a 20 by 80 with a tripod is recommended, because it won't be able to hold the darn thing up. Okay, yeah, I guess I'm good with that. I'll start researching it. This is KE5I6.
Okay, KG5P again. Just one last comment. You can get the 20 or 10 by 50s. They're quite inexpensive. I bought some at Kmart many years ago, and you can buy those just about anywhere. 20 by 80s, they come with all kinds of prices. The ones that I have, I think, cost me about $100. I bought them on the internet. And they were perfectly fine, but then you'll have to get some kind of a maybe a parallelogram. And I kind of cobbled one together out of spare parts at KG5P.
Alrighty, anybody else have anything to offer on this topic?
This is KF5 PDS with comment.
KF5 PDS, go ahead, Billy.
Yeah, thanks, and thank you, Tony, for hearing me. I don't know, I guess I cleared the tower, because you heard me. Thank you, NT5TM. Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'll second what Mike said. The very first thing I ever looked at anything with was a set of 10 by 80 Bushnell binoculars, and I bought them on Amazon, and I think at the time they were on sale for like $40. So I think they normally ran about $65, but I found them on sale, and then I bought for like $12 an adapter that I screwed onto a tripod that I already had, so that way I could attach my binoculars to the tripod, and then it allowed me hands-free viewing. And the Pleiades wide-field objects look awesome in 10 by 80s. Orion Nebula also looks really cool. And you can see Messier objects, but like Mike said, they will be kind of dim since it's kind of low power. And on a parallelogram mount, I've seen people make those pretty easily out of this wood stock that they've got at home. And those are nice because you can adjust the height without losing the angle. So that's the nice thing about a parallelogram mount. But if you have it mounted to a tripod, you can adjust it and then let it go and look with hands-free viewing. So that's good for a start if you don't have a lot of money. And a lot of people have a camera tripod already, so you might, and maybe even have the binoculars, and you just need the little adapter piece. So that's usually a good first step. Let me reset. If you're looking for a telescope, I have a 6-inch Dob. It has a focal length of 1,200 millimeters, and then if you affix a 25 millimeter eyepiece to that, that's about 48 power. And I can see the Andromeda Galaxy. It looks like a fuzzy cotton ball, but it's visible. It's easily visible in a dark sky. And Pleiades you can see, but I think in the binoculars the Pleiades look better. But you can see like M13, your Messier objects come through well on a small telescope, and those can be had for $300 or less. So if you're looking for a good first scope, that's a good size telescope. I think you can get like an Orion 8-inch telescope, which is a little bit bigger than 6-inch, obviously, for about $300. So that's a good first step, is get a little Dobsonian push tube, and that helps you learn the night sky as well. But those are what I use when I go observing, so I just wanted to throw that in. So this is KF5PDS back to net.
KG5P, one more comment.
KG5P, go ahead.
If you are going to get some 20 by 80s, make sure they do have the screw mount on the bottom. Some of them don't. There's a guy named Dinesh he's at the Texas Star Party every year, but he usually doesn't have any equipment because he's from Sri Lanka. But he picked up some 20 by 80s, I think from somebody at the Texas Star Party, but it didn't have that screw mount on the bottom. And you have to have that. That's absolutely necessary. So if you don't have the screw mount, don't even consider them. Also, you may have to collimate them because they get shipped around and the prisms get bonged around a little bit in shipping. And so the Chinese-made ones that I have, they work perfectly well, but I had to go collimate the prisms, and that takes a little bit of work. But you can get Chinese ones for maybe $300 or for $100. If you're going to get something like Switzerland, they're quite a bit more expensive than that. KG5P.
All right. Well, thanks for all the comments. Well, we are out of time, so I'm going to close it down. But first, does anybody want to check in before we do? Okay, tonight we had 20 amps participating on the air. Thanks to all who checked in this evening. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all other DARC nets. If you would like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to nets@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussion on this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video stream, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is WB50ZL, Brenda. I'll be closing the net at 22:26 local time, returning to repeater normal amateur use. To everybody and enjoy the evening discovering the universe. But wait, there's more. Go take a break, and in 5 minutes we'll be back here for the Afterglow net, where we will be discussing the movie Buckaroo Banzai, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai in the 8th Dimension. 73, everybody.
Thank you, Brenda. Very good net tonight. Tom, KE5ICX, are you there, KG5P?
I come here, KE5ICX.
If you like to try them, Tom, I'll loan you my 20 by 80s and my 10 by 50s, and you're welcome to try them out and see what works best for you. The important thing is you're going to have dark skies. They're kind of useless around here in the Dallas area, but you can get some pretty good. They're pretty useful. On if you have dark skies, sometimes when I go out to like the Texas Star Party or something, I'll spend one night just looking around, looking with binoculars, just to orient myself. But I'm more than happy to, loan them to you, give them a try and see what would work best for you. KG5P.
Normal state. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, actually, I need probably better than anything figure out what the heck, dark skies and get someplace out there and then actually try something like that. That's a whole nother question. Oh, well. Okay, cool deal. All right, I'm going to take a break, and then I'll be back here for Buckaroo Banzai. And I'll spell Buckaroo correctly next time. Somehow I put an E instead of an A. I must be getting tired. Oh well. KE5I6.
Completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly.
After
This is W5EBB with an astrophotography question. Basically, can you use a cell phone camera to photograph deep space objects? W5EBB.
Oh, are you calling me, this KG5P?
Yes, KG5P from W5EBB. Any cell phone cam or cell phone cam apps that allow for like a couple of second exposure, or would that even work for deep space objects?
Well, I'll tell you what. I've never really done that, but I have plans to do it. I have here's the deal. I do have a Celestron SkyRiz, but the magnification is so much. It's really good for planetary stuff, but the magnification is way too high for deep space objects, because a lot of these are quite wide. Like the Andromeda Nebula is about 7 times the width of the full moon. It's about 3.5 degrees, and that's one of the projects I have on way right now. Is I just bought a Note 9, and I have a mount to put it on my telescope, and there's no reason that it can't work. One thing that you're probably going to need, that you'll need, is a mount that tracks, which kind of leaves out a knob. You'll need a tracking mount to take anything more than 15 seconds or so, or else you'll get trails and stuff and blur. But that's a good question, and I'm in the process of testing it out. I didn't do it at the Eldorado Star Party because I forgot to bring my cell phone camera mount with me. I've got it set up right now, and I wanted to get some pictures of the moon if I can get it early tomorrow. But the moon's easy to do. But I do want to test it out on some deep sky objects. There's no reason that it shouldn't work. None at all. But I need to experiment with it. So I hope that helps. Like, not much, I guess. I'll know a little bit more when I experiment more with it. KG5P.
All right, thanks. Well, I will say that, I've got a, kind of a cheapo AstroMaster 6-inch reflector, and the eyepieces that came with it were not very good. But I did upgrade, and it's about a $60 zoom, 24 millimeter to 8 millimeter, and it is really bright. The widest aperture, or the widest field of view, really captures a lot of light. Unexpectedly, it is the necessary component to be able to get in all the light that the primary mirror is collecting. And but the problem is, I can see things that are dim through the eyepiece with the naked eye, but it doesn't capture on the phone. And I don't know if the CCD detector would just be in the noise. And I don't find that it has an option. I haven't found any camera apps that allow the shutter to stay open is just a default setting that you can select a night mode, but that really doesn't help. It just samples, with a different, maybe holding it open just a little bit longer. But a decent camera app, I think, is what I'm looking for to make this work if I want to capture any of these images. But thanks for your comments, and I'll let you get ready for Afterglow. W5EBB.
Okay, yeah, we got Afterglow coming up right now. Well, the phone that I have does allow you to take timed exposures. You can lead something like that. I can set the exposure to just about anything I want. Well, let's talk about this some more, because I'm really interested in this, and I'm still working my way through the best way to do it. But I got some ideas and some things I've tried. So let's talk about this some more. We'll stand by now for the Afterglow, because I think Tom wants to get started with that. KG5P.
W5EBB clear.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your comments. Maybe we need to have a more open conversation on stuff that people are interested in with astronomy, like we do on other nets. Thanks very much. And I did write down copious notes. I did on binoculars. I appreciate all your comments. That was really great. So thanks. This is KE5ICX. I got tagged with net control for tonight's Afterglow Movie Net. So, you know the drill. I will give you basically the synopses of the movie, a little bit about it, and then after that, you'll get a chance to check in, let me know your call sign, your name, whether you saw the movie or not. We're back to movies tonight, although there's still a lot of television stuff. Maybe we'll do this again in January, do more TV stuff. Pilots and that. But tonight we have a movie. This is a rerun. Let me reset. Apparently in January of 2017 we actually did review this movie, and that's okay. We've got a bunch of new people who are who check into this net who have not commented on this film. I will in the future go ahead and do a quick Google search. Yes, all of our nets are searched as far as whatever the movie is that we see each week. So it is recorded somewhere. I don't know why anybody would, but it is, and I will double check and make sure that the movie hasn't been seen. Okay, here we go. This is the synopsis, the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. The rerun version, often shortened to Buckaroo Banzai, is a 1984 American science fiction action-adventure film produced and directed by W.D. Richter, and written by Eric Mack Rauch. I don't know either of these guys. The premise centers upon the efforts of the polymath Dr. Buckaroo Banzai, a physicist, neurosurgeon, and test pilot, and rock musician. There's 4. I thought it was 3. Polymath. Miss Billy can tell us about polymath. This guy is really smart. To save the world by defeating a band of interdimensional aliens called the Red Electroids from Planet 10. The film is a cross between the action-adventure and sci-fi genres and includes elements of comedy and romance. After screenwriter Richter was introduced to novelist Earl Mack Rauch and hired him to develop the screenplay of his new character, Buckaroo Banzai. Richter teamed with producer Neil Canton to pitch the script to MGM. Studio chief David Begelman, I don't know, who took it to 20th Century Fox to make a movie. The box office figures were low, and less than half of the film's production costs were recovered. Some critics were put off by the complicated plot, while others, like Pauline Kael, enjoyed the film. With Vincent Canby, called it pure nutty fun. Buckaroo Banzai has been adapted for books, comics, and video games, and has attracted a loyal cult following. The plot is somewhat, as mentioned, complicated. I'm only going to read a few paragraphs here from Wikipedia. This is Buckaroo Banzai and his mentor, Dr. Akita. I think that's Robert Ito. He's been in everything, by the way. Perfected the oscillation over thruster, a device that allows one to pass through solid matter. Banzai tests it by driving his jet car, capital J, capital C, through a mountain. While passing through it, Banzai finds himself in another dimension. On returning to his normal dimension, he discovers an alien organism that has attached itself to his car. News of the Banzai success reaches Dr. Emilio Lizardo, currently held at the Trenton Home for the Criminally Insane. I think people living in Trenton are criminally insane. In 1938, Lizardo and Akita had built the prototype over thruster. Lizardo tested it before it was ready, and because of that, is stuck between dimensions. So freed, it causes him to go insane. Aware that Banzai has succeeded, Lizardo breaks out. This is KE5ICX. Banzai and Hong Kong Cavaliers are performing at a nightclub. Lin Banzai interrupts their musical intro to address a depressed and suicidal woman, Penny Pretty, into the audience. During a performance he gives especially for her, she attempts suicide, which is mistaken for assassination upon Banzai. After bailing her out of jail, he finds she is a long-lost twin sister of his late wife. Later, Banzai holds a press conference about his rocket car experience. The overthruster is a specimen of alien trans-dimensional life he obtained while traveling through the 8th dimension. Strange men disrupt the event, kidnap Akita and the overthruster due to the electrical shock from an unknown source. Banzai sees these men as reptilian humanoids. The others give choice, and Penny happens to encounter Akita, who passes her the overthruster before he is recaptured. I'm going to stop now because there's so many prepositional phrases in these last two sentences. It's very complicated. This is KE5ICX. I'm net control for tonight's Afterglow Movie Net. Our movie is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. Yes, that's the title. I will now take check-ins. Please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you saw the movie.
Number Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony, low power portable in Dallas, saw about half of it.
Kilo Golf 5, Papa, Mike, and Richardson, about 2 watts. I did see the movie, KG5P.
I will take additional check-ins, regular hour, normal people checking in. Please come now with your call sign, your name, where you're transmitting from. Let me know if you saw the movie, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai.
Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. I did see the movie. Name's Brenda.
Charlie 5, Oscar Zulu Tango, Carolyn in Louisville, and I did see the movie.
Hello, Foxtrot 5, Tango Sierra Kilo, Burl in Dallas. I did see the movie.
Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James Kelvin. Do not see the movie. did receive a little bit on Google.
Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas. Yes, I saw the movie.
Let me get these check-ins. I did not acknowledge the original stations. NT5PM, Tony, low power. Yeah, he saw it. KG5P, Mike, low power, 2 watts. Yep, he saw it. WD5OZL, Brenda. Yes. KC5OZT, Miss Carolyn. Yep. K5TSK, Burl. Yep. KG5 Whiskey Victor Lima, James in Carrollton. Welcome aboard. You did not see the movie? We will call on you on comments about such films, crazy parallel universes and stuff like that. You have an opportunity to speak. If you've not seen the movie, that's okay. W5EBB, David in Dallas. Yep, he saw the movie. Additional over-air check-ins, and I'm going to Echolink. Over-air, please come now with your name. Let me know if you saw the movie. All right, we're moving to Echolink. Echolink only. Please come now with your call sign name. Let me know your location. Did you see the movie? Echolink only. Please come now. We will give you extra time.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy and Sherman. Yes, I saw about 80% of it. I've had a long week. I kind of fell asleep a little bit, but I saw most of the film.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, Jay. I did not see it this time. I saw it last time. I'll have to try to remember it. KG5BCW.
Very good. I've got on Echolink, K5PDS, Miss Billy in Sherman. She saw about 80% of it. Oh, gotcha down. KG5BZW, Jay near Weatherford. He saw it a couple years ago. He's going to go by memory. It's okay, Jay. Hopefully some of the comments will jog your memory. Anyone else, any mode, please come now with your name, your call sign, your name, and did you see the movie? I got N5IMS, he's listening in only, and that's okay. That would be JJ in Carrollton. Okay, I'll just put down a no. If you do have a comment, I know you've been able to come in over Echolink, just say break, or put something in the chat window. All right, the way this thing works is as it does every week. We'll go ahead and ask about plot first. Most folks here are aware of that, so we'll go ahead and start with Tony, NT5TM. Tony, what did you think about the plot to this very linear, simple motion picture? Tony, NT5TM from KE5ICX.
Good evening. If I were not having fun with all you smart folks, I'd have gone to bed about 2 hours ago. I'm coming down with a cold, and I don't feel very well. So maybe that's the reason. This was one of those movies where it's like, okay, I know these are the bad guys, and I'm not supposed to root for them, but I'm not quite sure what's been happening. I kept losing track of the plot, unfortunately. The movie was fun. It was heartwarming. It's kind of campy, simple goofiness as far as its appearance, but the plot was complicated. In fact, I'm probably just going to listen for the rest of the net. I'll check back in during an open check-in round if I have something I need to say. But Tom, thank you for being here. Thank you for staying somewhat coherent, and I hope you guys have fun. But I liked it. I'm going to watch the rest of it. I just couldn't quite follow it. NC5DM.
Hi, Tony. No problem. I understand. I had that same problem the first dozen times I watched this movie. But that's okay. We'll get to it later on. KG5P, Mike, you saw this film. What did you think about The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai et al.?
Okay, KG5CX, KG5P. Well, I like the movie because here's what I think. I think people either love this movie or they hate it. And if you hate it, it's because it's really doofus. And if you love it, it's because it's really doofus. And that's why I liked it. This movie was just full of one-liners and little subtle things that I probably missed half of them. But the plot was kind of, well, I shouldn't say simple because it was convoluted, but basically, here's this, Buckaroo Banzai that can do everything. He starts out doing brain surgery, and you get all these facts and things, that about brain biology that, who the hell knows what he's talking about. And then it segues into the crazy doctor, the John Lithgow character, and then Buckaroo Banzai, he's in that race car, and he drives through a mountain. That made me think about the discussions we've had about what constitutes a good scientific movie. And one of the definitions, I don't know if we all agreed on these, but one of the definitions that I had, that I happen to like about what makes a good scientific movie, is that if it violates any laws, any known laws of physics, they're explained. And this whole business of flying through the mountain is not impossible. In the quantum world, this happens all the time. And I don't claim to know quantum mechanics. If you think you understand quantum mechanics, then you don't understand quantum mechanics. It's possible, and this happens all the time with subatomic particles, that they can go through barriers that are solid. It's one of the weird things about quantum mechanics, and it's also possible for, say, a human or anything much larger to do the same thing. The probability is such, it is very unlikely that it'll happen. In fact, Michio Kaku, in one of his books, he says that probability of this to happen may not occur. It may not happen before in the life in the universe, but the probability is not zero. So there's nothing wrong with that particular construct. They were taking liberties with known science, and what they said does fit right in, is congruent with what scientists already know, especially in the quantum world. I liked a lot of these little quips. This is the reason that I liked it, is because some of these little jokes they made just made no sense at all. They were just really off the cuff. Like for example, there was Buckaroo Banzai's assistant, the Jeff Goldblum character. They're walking through a lab or something like that, and he says, "What's that watermelon doing over there?" And the guy that's with him, he says, "Well, I'll explain later." Well, they never do explain, you know. But, so what's that watermelon have to do with anything? Who knows? There was another segment where they're all taken off to go to work and, you know, fight the evil Dr. Worf, and he says, "Spread out," which is, I don't know if they got that from Three Stooges or not, but that's what it made me think of. Flying around in the rocket ship trying to shoot down the evil Dr. Worf, and the thing's falling through the air, and he says, "Well, how do you get this thing started?" And he pulls out a couple of jumper cables and sticks them on, you know, on a panel, and that's got the thing started. I mean, the whole thing was just totally goofy, and that's like the plot aside and convoluted and didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that was okay, because all the other stuff was by my definition was enjoyable, and they didn't take any really bad scientific explanations. They had a blackboard up there, and they had all kinds of gobbledygook written on there, like Minkowski's Space-Time, which had nothing to do with the movie. But I think they must have at least had a physics student, or perhaps even a physicist, that said, you know, that gave them a bunch of stuff to put up on the blackboard to look like scientific gobbledygook. They had mathematical equations that didn't make any sense. But that's okay. It was just, it was totally enjoyable from that perspective, and I'd watch it again just to listen for more of the little one-liners and stuff like that. Back to that KG5P.
Mike, you make very good comments. There's a lot of Easter eggs, I think they call them, in there, and I agree with you. I won't make any additional comments because I think other folks have to say something, but I'm tempted. WD5OZL, Miss Brenda, your comments on the plot for Buckaroo Banzai. Go ahead.
This is WD5OZL. I've seen it before. We had a copy, and I just watched over and over and over. But the first time I saw it, it was hard to follow. But that's okay. It's not the only movie in the world that's like that. If you have enough catchy music and pretty people and aliens and quirky things, then it's totally enjoyable. So didn't mind so much the plot being non-linear. I wish they'd made a sequel as they had planned. I really did like this. And the cast of the actors is just amazing, and you know, I strictly in terms of plot, I thought it was just fine, and I would not mind watching it again. Back to that, this is WV5OZL.
Thank you, Miss Brenda. By the way, just to let everybody know, I stream this like I've done for the last, 7 years? Although I streamed this to YouTube last week, and YouTube's been a part of the stream now, which is the audio part, since earlier this year, so it's the newest part. They banned last week's video because there was it Buck Rogers in the 25th Century running in the background on my TV set, and they thought I was illicitly streaming it. Well, it's on tonight, and it is in the background on the TV, but there are a pilot picture, a picture of Hale-Bopp the comet from, what was that, 1991 or 2. There is a dinosaur and some RJ45 cable hanging over the front of the screen. So we banned this one. I'm not sure what that means in the end, but you can kind of see Buck Rogers in the background. Not Buckaroo Banzai, but Buck Rogers. All right, I just thought I'd mention that, and if you jump on the video, you'll see the dinosaur and the pilot and Hale-Bopp. Okay, let's see. Next up on the list is KC50ZT. Miss Carolyn, you saw the movie. What did you think about the plot?
I pretty well agree with everybody else. It was sort of convoluted and sort of hard to follow some part of the time, and yet there's a lot of comic moments in it, and in the Grover's Mill, the H.G. Wells things was sort of a neat touch, and that's about it. I can think of KC50ZT.
For the foot pedal down here, it keeps getting moved around. It must be the ham mice. Okay, well, short comments on the plot. That can't be good. Okay, KF5TSK Burrow, your thoughts on the plot. I know you've got tons of notes. Tell us what you think.
This KF5TSK, I do have tons of notes. Well, my thought on the whole movie was that, decide what are we going to make this movie about? And it says, well, we could throw in some horror, some comedy, some science fiction, and it's kind of like something will appeal to, everyone. And I think that's what they came up with, that you have a movie, you have, these fantastic spiders, and then you have the electronic spiders, and then everyone gets hit with things that are, I guess, shocking, or, they don't know where they are. You have the mad scientists, that kind of bring in that comedy situation. So, science fiction, it really, there was some the acoustic motives and, new things, but it's like, all you have to do to, in the world is push this little button on this little 4x4 box, and, you get it done. KF5TSK Internet.
All right, thank you, Burl. Let's see. The next station is KG5 Whiskey Victor Lima James. You didn't see the movie. Hope you're still out there. You got any comments on convoluted plots in science fiction films? If you're still there, go ahead.
KG5WEL. I kind of reviewed her. Said Google, and I really don't know all the plots of the movie. Just me viewing it, and some of the reviews, like the data meter, I noticed it was at 71%, fairly good rating, saying that some people, majority, 2/3 of the people hardly liked it. And also the audience score was 69%. This movie seems to be pretty good because the actors and actresses that we had in the movie, they're fairly known at the time. That was Barkin and John Rowe. There's another one, Jonathan Barks. And I noticed one actor, Vince Billy, he played a part in a movie called Ghost. Some people may remember. So I can't tell you much about the movie because I didn't see it back in there.
All right, thank you, James. You were a little hard to understand, but you did bring out all the different actors in the film, and they were actually ended up being fairly well known, some of them after this movie, not necessarily because of this movie, but after this movie. So appreciate your comments. We'll come back to you later. You may want to increase power or improve position. You're about 90% noise. I had to turn my volume up to 11 to hear you, and my hearing's not the best in the universe. So I got some of that. Next round, if you're around, go ahead and turn up power a little bit more if you can, or go outside, stand on top of the roof. That helps. Anybody knows my hero, my humor, you'd know that. That's my comment. Okay, thanks, James. Appreciate your comments. W5EBB, David in Dallas. I know you've got a good signal. What did you think about the plot on this one?
Well, convoluted is a good word, but I liked about the first hour. You know, it was historical and the plot was fairly tractable. You know, whimsical, silly, you know, even throwing in that reference to the War of the Worlds from October or November 1938 as the genesis of the timeline of introduction of the red lectoids. I must say it was a welcome movie relief from another one I watched earlier this week, THX 1138. The plot did devolve somewhat in the last 30 minutes. It got a little complicated. You know, you've got the big action scene sequence montage, but you know, not unlike a James Bond movie or even a spoof of that, which would be Casino Royale, which has a very convoluted, silly ending 30 minutes or so. But Easter eggs, yes, this movie was chock full of them. I can't say that I know what they meant. I don't have the decoder for those Easter eggs, but I know they were there, and that's probably why this movie has such a cult status, because you can catch these that you haven't seen before upon repeated watching. W5EBB.
Thank you, David. Yeah, the Grover's Mill comment was the one that I saw. I probably missed most of the others, but yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay. Campsite PDS, Miss Billy, I know you have comments on this one. You saw it, you took notes, and you can explain the math. Go ahead. This is KE5I6.
Yeah, this is a fun little adventure. I thought this was great. Yeah, definitely convoluted plot. You know, they're simple, and then there's deceptively simple. And it's like it draws you in with the simplicity, and they weave in all the convolutions. And it definitely bears watching again and again. I'm sure the more you watch it, the more you pull out of it. So it definitely will be one that I will watch again, especially since I fell asleep during part of it. So I may have missed what you're referring to. I saw a board with some equations on it, And it looked nice, but I think it was more for the attractive quality than it was for the mathematical accuracy. But you know, it's an interesting plot. Lots of characters, lots of misdirection. You know, when they were handing off the what was it called? I forget what the name of the device was. I'm so tired. Sorry. But they kept, you know, misdirecting with that. It's like, who's got it? And so they're playing this big game of almost tag, you know, chasing that device and handing it off to different people. So, you know, that lends to the convolution, but I think it, you know, makes it fun and adds some spice. And yes, I thought it was fun. Definitely bears watching again. And I agree with all the other comments about the plot. So I have more comments, I guess, relating to character and other aspects of the film. But my favorite, I'll throw out my favorite one-liner was, no matter where you go, there you are. So with that, I'll return it to you, Tom. This is KFI PDS, back to Met.
Miss Billy, and this is KE5ICX, net control for tonight's Afterglow Movie Net. We're talking about the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension from 1984. Currently, we're talking about the plot. Let me go down the list here. We will continue. KG5BZWJ, near but not in Weatherford. Jay, your thoughts on the plot?
This is KG5BZW, and yeah, this is definitely a movie that you need to see. I think, I don't know, there seems to be something going around. I hope it's not, I don't know. I'm tired myself, and part of the reason I didn't watch the film. Yeah, the plot, I remember it being kind of convoluted. It didn't seem that bad when I watched it, but I don't know. I really don't have much to add right now. So I think I'm just going to have to turn it back over to net control. KU5ICX, this is KU5BZW.
Thanks, Jay. Let's see here. No voice on that one. Okay, I'll make my comments. Yes, I've seen this movie numerous times, and I never understood the plot. And last night, when I watched it, in HD no less, I thought, okay, I'll understand it better. And I did pay attention. Like others, I did kind of fall asleep through part of it. I think the story is probably more unnecessarily complicated than it needs to be. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I think the idea is that let's make it complicated. Our characters are the most interesting part of it. In most science fiction films, story gets, I don't know, maybe first treatment or last treatment. But in any case, it's always perverted into something crazy. This one did the same, but it was a wink, wink, nod, nod in the process of doing that. The red lactoids, the black lactoids, all of that stuff played into it. I thought that was, and the war between them, and being in with Earth and all of that. It's absurd. It is crazy. Let me reset. Of course, that falls into the whole scheme of things. They're creating this whole kind of convoluted world. The thing that I liked about it, I always do in something like this, is that they drop you into the middle of it. There is established character timeline and story timeline going before and after the thing. And it's up to you to figure it out, catch up. You woke up. You're late for school. You're going to have to figure out what the heck you missed. I like that. I have no problems with that. And then some of the stuff, as was mentioned earlier, never gets explained. So what? You'll fill in the blanks, even if nobody else does, because you're cribbing for school. You'll get the test done, just see what the person next to you is doing. Oh, they're circling C for question 17. I'll do that. Really, I think that's what's going on here. It's up to you to figure it out, and if you don't figure it out, it's your fault. Or it's their fault, the people who made the movie. But in any case, it doesn't matter. We can argue about this for hours, especially in a bar, while drinking. One of the comments that I love, and maybe this is characterization or not, I'm not entirely sure, but when Buckaroo Banzai is doing his neurosurgeon thing, he takes his assistant there who's helping him. He says, "You know anything Saturday night?" No. Would you be interested in helping me out with my band? I have an opening. He's got 4 things going on, and he needs somebody to help him with the band. Can you sing? Can you dance? Can you play an instrument? Well, maybe. We're busy trying to save this person's life. It's going through his head. But Buckaroo goes and says, well, if you show up Saturday night, I'll get you a job. Oh, okay, sure. I'm not doing anything. I'm a neurosurgeon assistant. I love that. It's parody, it's silly, but it's also realistic. It makes sense. People always reach out to others who may be as crazy as they are to help them with something. Heck, we're in amateur radio. We do that stuff all the time. That's another thing that I found really fun about this movie. If you keep watching it long enough, you can pay attention and stay awake at the same time. I think there's a lot here. The plot has a lot of stuff going on. It's mentioned Easter eggs. Yeah, I think they're there. I think there are a few of them. Grover's Mill was one. There's others. I can't remember what they are. But if you watch it, you pay strict attention to the convoluted plot, you'll figure it out. All right, I'm done. I'll go ahead and take additional check-ins now. If you would like to talk about the movie, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension, please come with your call sign now. Everybody else, I know you're there. But anybody new who would like to check in, please come in.
IMS, so long as my voice holds out.
Hey, JJ, over there, N5IMS. You must be sick or, well, we're all sick listening and talking on this net. Yeah, you have comments on the plot. Go ahead. I know you're over in Louisville. I can see over here. Yeah, put your window shade down. Yeah, the chicken looks good.
Well, actually, it's Carrollton, but we're close enough. But I was just going to pass on what basically helped the movie make sense to me was after watching it many times, I, came up with some things. And, basically what made sense to me is the fact that there are both red and black electrons. Now, it's not a racist thing, it's just what they call them. So please forgive me if anyone's offended. No offense was intended. But, let me reset. And, of course, cough. But, what you've got is the red electrons are the bad guys in the movie. The black electrons were the good guys in the movie. The red ones were the ones that came into Grover's Mill and were in the 8th dimension. The black ones were the ones up in the cloud above New Jersey. And John Parker and his team that came down, John Parker was the only one that survived, and he made it through the entire movie.
But they were the good people. Admittedly, they were going to start a nuclear war here in the U.S., destroying the planet, but that was really only to, save themselves. Let me reset. And what happened prior to the movie, actually prior to 1938, in there was really a big war on Planet 10. The red electrons were trying to overthrow the rulers, which were the black electrons. And they were stopped and banned to the 8th dimension. Now, back in 1938, somehow, the Yoyodyne group managed to make it into New Jersey, and the rest of them were kind of still suspended in the 8th dimension. But, the problem with them is they thought that would be a lifetime or universal ban. But once, Buckaroo, broke into the 8th dimension by going through the mountain in his rocket car, it kind of, let them realize that maybe this wasn't as permanent as they thought. So, they had to, come in and do things. Fortunately, though, they trusted Buckaroo to actually solve the issue, but they were ready to take action if they didn't. Of course, the rest of it was just, that piece in there where he saved the world and stuff. So, that battle from the back is one of those things from the past that it takes, watching several times to actually realize that that's going on. And so hopefully that helps some other people kind of piece together some of the reasons for some of the movie and stuff. And I'll turn it back to you, and hopefully my voice, managed to recover. And yes, I'm fighting that stuff that's going around. It's N5 IMS.
Appreciate you explain this doggone movie. Thank you so much, because I wasn't sure what was going on. All right. I do appreciate it. That was a big help because, I was having some trouble with it. Okay, this is KE5ICX. We are discussing the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. I'm going to go to the top of the list. Tony, T5TM, you have to talk about, because you're the first guy, to explain the characterization. Tell us about characterization. What you think? This is KE5ICX. He's done this to us before. I think he's chowing down or something. He'll be back. I know he will. KG5P, Mike, your comments on characterization.
At K5ICX, KG5P. Okay, well, before I do that, there's a couple comments I wanted to make that some of these little zingers they put in there. The Yoyodyne was really a takeoff on Rocketdyne Corporation, which was a company formed after World War II to reverse engineer the German V-2 rockets. And I think that they were bought out by North American, and they produced a lot of engines for like the Saturn. Correct me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe they built the Saturn, the engines that were put in the Saturn, Saturn V. On characterization, this is the part I didn't like at all about the movie. I think everybody was miscast, just about everybody. Buckaroo Banzai was played by a guy named Peter Weller, and I never had heard of him before, and he was kind of a flat character. He just was not credible at all. I think that I'd read that Tom Hanks was considered for that part, but I didn't like the Peter Weller character in the Buckaroo Banzai. I've never been a big fan of John Lithgow. I think he might have overplayed that a bit. That Italian accent that he had, I think he had a tailor that worked on the set who was an Italian, and he was the one that actually coached John Lithgow to talk with an Italian accent. I think the best actor in the whole movie was Jeff Goldblum. And I would have liked him to play the Buckaroo Banzai part. I think he was kind of wasted in this movie, just playing the supporting cast. Another I thought was totally wasted was Christopher Lloyd. He played the John Big Booty. So these names, they're just totally off the wall. John Big Booty. We're calling things like Big Boots and stuff like that. No, it's Big Booty. But with all the makeup and stuff, you wouldn't recognize Christopher Lloyd. The Japanese guy, Robert E. that had the funny eye, he's been in a lot of movies over the years, and I think he's also been in Star Trek and some of those episodes. But I guess another actor that I really liked was his name was Vincent Schiavelli. And if you ever saw Ghost with I can't remember I think Demi Moore was in it, or no, I don't know. You know the movie. He played the ghost that was haunting the subway car. He has these strange looking eyes, and unfortunately he passed away here a number of years ago. But he was just an excellent character actor. But that's all I said. Yeah, I liked the movie, but the casting left a lot to be desired for me. Back to that KG5P. Oh no, I time out the repeater.
WB50ZLK. Cal will be right back in just a second. But we can carry on. Oh, I don't know who's next on the list. Chance to check it. Let's just wait a second. I'll be right back.
Okay, I got long-winded there, and I thought I timed the repeater out. I got the bozo alert. KG5P.
No, the repeater has been reset so that it doesn't time out during nets. After the net's over, yeah, she'll time it out, but, I mean, it just wasn't practical. We all have so much to say, and goodness knows everybody's so fascinating. So, does anybody who know who comes after Mike? Maybe it's me. KE5ICX. You got the baton. Go ahead.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I did have to take a moment break, but Mike, I did hear your comments. One of them was about Yo-Yo Dyne, and the company that made the Saturn V rocket, the F1, was Rocketdyne Corporation. And Yo-Yo Dyne has been used many times. In fact, it appears many times in Star Trek The Next Generation, which came shortly after this series. after this movie as an homage too. The other part is that the one guy, I can't think of his name, you're right, with the funny eye, he has appeared in, probably he's most notably known as one of the henchmen in the Blues, not the Blues Brothers, what was it, Beverly Hills Cop, yeah, Cuz, that guy. He also appeared in a couple other series. I was surprised to see him. I had forgotten he was in the series. But yeah, I did hear you and I did listen. I just had to take a quick break and I came back. So thanks for your comments on characterization. Next up is, let me look, oh, WB50ZL, Miss Brenda, you have comments. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm embarrassed to realize I didn't realize I was up next. We could have carried on. Characterization. I liked it. Had a lot of really fascinating actors and characters, and boy, I had no problems at all. Just fabulous actors in this thing. I do like John Lithgow, and I don't know about the girl. I don't know who she is. I don't know anything about her, and I've never seen her in anything. Of course, Peter Weller is just fabulous, in my opinion. It was a little hard to keep the characters apart and know what their function was and what their relationships with each other were. The thing was just a little bit disjointed. I think that's one reason why it didn't have great success. Our movie cost $17 million to make and only got $6 million at the box office. Obviously, it didn't get marketed until after it had come and gone. But it does have a huge cult following. I know that. A lot of people do like it. So, they were supposed to make a sequel. I'm sorry they didn't. I'd like to see Peter Weller again in something like this. But I think the most notable thing he was in, besides this, was RoboCop, another one of my favorite movies. Okay, I'll put it there, WB50ZL.
Thank you, Brenda. KC50ZT, Mr. Caroline, your comments on characterization.
It's hard to keep some of them straight, all right, but John Lithgow was sort of, he played it just right as a crazy guy, you know, and some of the others, it was hard to keep track of, hear the names too much, it seemed to me. Now, it could be I just wasn't paying attention, but as you got farther into the movie, and especially discovering there was two separate aliens, it got a little bit clearer. It seemed like, and especially the good alien. I'm not sure what his name was, but it took a while to get used to just who everybody was, but it was enjoyable, though. KC50ZT.
Carolyn, let's see, KF5TSK Burl, your comments on characterization. You have tons of notes. You told me that earlier. Go ahead.
This KF5TSK. Well, you know, there were too many characters in the movie. You know, Banzai himself, you know, they didn't really develop him as a character. You know, it's kind of like, you know, he's a brain surgeon. He's a test pilot. He's everything. And, you know, it didn't really feel that way. It was almost like, everyone was searching for this, I guess, flux capacitor, and no one was really doing any innovating in the movie. But, a lot of good characters, but very complicated to follow. KF5TSK back to net.
Right. Thank you, Burl. And I'm going to go ahead and check in KV5RHE over at Echo Lake. That would be Brian. He's listening only. Brian, just remember, you'll have to be here next week and make comments. Okay. Got Burl in. Let's see. Next on the list is, let me go back a page. TSK, KG5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James. Any additional comments from you? Go ahead.
I've got two comments. One, I did see part of the movie, like the technical displays. This was a 1984 movie, but the instruments they were using just looked like they were designed in 1960. So they didn't bring it up to a level that would match the 1980s. And then my main comment was that probably Buckaroo Bonanza probably succeeded through total devotion to his own lunacy. KG5WDL.
All right, very good. Thanks, James. W5EBB. David Dallas, go ahead. Your thoughts on characterization.
All right. Well, Dr. Emilio Lizardo was certainly a strange character for John Lithgow, but he's played in a lot of a wide range of characters, so at least he's got a range as an actor to play different roles. Although in this particular role as the crazed professor, I think his co-star in World According to Garp, Robin Williams, might have pulled it off a little better in terms of believable craziness. And, I guess he must have incorporated some of the lectoid DNA and intelligence when he burst his head momentarily into the 8th dimension. Unfortunately, with the side of sociopathicness as well. Sociopathy, I don't know. Now, the lectoids, physiologically, they looked accurate to form for a planet Tenarian, but less reptilian to my eye, more like arthropods. The head of the aliens kind of looked like a folded-over Madagascar hissing cockroach. It's got the ribbed, ridged kind of body, which would comprise the crown and sides of the head, and then the head segment folds over to the face where you've got bulging, fixed black-brown eyes on the side, and that's what it looked like to me. So that was kind of a little bit of the hybrid alien look, which I guess if you've got a template, you can make an alien appearance out of just about anything in nature, and it sounded like a hissing cockroach when they'd shoot those little darts, So maybe that's what they patented after. I don't know. Now, there were some characters, some actors who were not fully utilized. Jonathan Banks, the hospital attendant. Of course, this was early in his career. He was a villain in Beverly Hills Cop, and the almost likable bad guy Mike from Breaking Bad, but a well-developed character, and he played that role well. Now, some people may not like my opinion, but Jeff Goldblum is an enigma to me. He's been in 80 movies since he started in the movie business, since, I guess, 1974. And I don't know why he's so prolific. because to me, his acting modulation across any character he plays varies by about 0.001%. His character is typically kind of a solitary, scientific, solemn, character, and most of his lines are more like soliloquies, like he's talking to himself, kind of daydreaming, not really ever interacting emotionally with other characters in the scene, very dry and robotic. And I don't know, I don't understand why he's been so cast in so many hit movies. But his role in Jurassic Park, same as Independence Day, same as Buckaroo Banzai, in my opinion. That's all I have to say about characters. W5EBB.
Good, David, and that's called being a character actor and being typecast, and he plays the same role really well. Okay, I have comments on that, but I'm going to reserve my comments until the end. KFI PDS, Miss Billy, your comments on characterization.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because as soon as he started to wax poetic about some concept, I was thinking, oh, there's Ian Malcolm coming out. So I thought the same thing. But I love Jeff Goldblum. He is that quirky character. He just, like you say, he does it so well that whenever the need calls for it, you just call him. So I've always enjoyed watching Jeff Goldblum for that quirkiness. And I thought Peter Weller was wonderful as Buckaroo Banzai. I like his style. He has kind of a dark, brooding quality to his characters, and just his, expressions. He just has kind of that dark, brooding kind of quality, not quite melancholy, but this kind of interesting mix of melancholy and darkness, and I don't know, it's hard to describe, but I enjoyed him as Buckaroo Banzai. It's like, neurosurgeon, and then he leaves from there to go play this fantastic gig, or he goes from maybe the neuroscientist to he jumps in the car and whizzes through the eighth dimension and then plays a gig that night. I thought that was awesome. So I enjoy Peter Weller. He played in RoboCop. He also played in Naked Lunch, which is a very strange film, and he did a wonderful job in that film as well. So I think if anybody else had been cast as Buckaroo Banzai, it may have come off, I don't know, too campy, but he kind of pulls in some dark quality that I like. And I love Clancy Brown. Anytime I see him, he's a good character actor as well. He played Rawhide, and I always enjoy watching him. And he took the lead in a favorite sci-fi TV series of mine, Earth 2. And he also played in Lost. So I love seeing Clancy Brown. He also played in Starship Troopers. He played Corporal Zim. And I love his character acting that he brings to the table anytime he's in a film. You're going to have good characters when you see Clancy Brown. And I'm trying to think of what else. Ellen Barkin. So she was very young in this film. The only films that leaped to mind was from the 80s. She played a reporter in a movie called Eddie and the Cruisers, which she was trying to track down this artist that had gone missing and supposedly faked his own death. And that was an interesting film. And then she played in a rom-com that I saw not too long ago. And the name escapes me, but she was a character in that film as well. And I'm really tired. I've worked about 70 hours this week, so that's why I'm kind of fuzzy coming up with names of things. I think the name of the object I was trying to come up with before was the overthruster. I think that was the name of the object. And if I think of the name of the film that Ellen Barkin was in, the romantic comedy that I saw, I'll throw that out there later, but I can't think of the name. But I haven't seen her in too many things, but she does play in movies. I'd have to look up more of her filmography, but those are just two things that leap to mind that I've seen her in. So maybe she doesn't do that much. I don't know. But I enjoy the characters. I'll enjoy a movie that kind of pokes fun at itself. So, and at the end, yeah, I agree. There's a lot of characters because when they all come marching to the beat of the music at the end, and you see just this wave of characters, it's like, wow, that really is a lot of people to go through a movie. So it's no wonder the plot, was convoluted. It had a lot of players. It had a lot of pieces of moving around on the board. So I guess we'll talk about wardrobe later, but so I'll reserve comments for that if we have a wardrobe round or final round. But I don't know. I like all the characters. They're quirky, good fun. They kind of poke fun at themselves and really lend well to each aspect of the film. And I thought the character names were hilarious, and the whole big bootay joke was really funny. And some of the other names were just laughable, and just having all the aliens have all the first name is John. I thought that was really funny. They all had different last names, which varied from normal last names to crazy last names, but they all had the first name of John, regardless of if they were male or female. So I thought that was kind of quirky as well. So that's all I can think of, so I'll throw it back to you. This is KFI PDS, back to net.
All right, thank you, Miss Billy. And yes, we'll have another round here in just a minute or two. And interesting. Let's see. Next up, KG5BZW, Jay over in Weather. Oh, you said it was your last time. If you're still there, let me look. BZW, Jay. You got any comments on characterization? Go ahead, Jay.
KG5BZW here. Not really much to say. I don't have much. But I do think it'll be this movie will be on my to watch again list pretty soon. So yeah. I got nothing. KG5BZW.
Okay, I spent the day out at the Boy Scout camp at Camp Wisdom today. Although it wasn't too bad. I didn't do a heck of a lot, but I noticed that two of our regular contributors are not here, so they went to bed early. Who were also at the Boy Scout merit badge thing today at Camp Wisdom. I did half a day, so that's why I can do this. Next up, N5 IMS. JJ, your comments on characterization, then we're going to go to the free round after that. Go ahead.
No, I think one of the issues with most of the cast is there really were two main characters, the John Lithgow character and Buckaroo Banzai. Buckaroo, his job was to do everything, and be the absolute leader of everything. So everybody else had to play a really subservient role to him. And of course, John Lithgow was the leader of the bad guys. So he kind of had to do his thing. And I understand that the producers really wanted John Lithgow to play that part, but John Lithgow wasn't that interested in it. So they had to keep offering him sweeteners. And one of the things they basically did was give him free rein and let him know that was one way he could use to expand his perceived roles. So therefore, if he, by playing this part, he could get other parts in other movies that were out of his normal roles. So, that was one of the reasons why they had him do it. And, he agreed, and I think he was a good person for that role as well. Now, I really think a lot of other actors could have played the Buckaroo role, but because Buckaroo had to be the, all-knowing, all-doing, it kind of, pushed some of the other players down so that they couldn't, they were playing their role well, but their roles weren't that well defined. It was basically just to support Buckaroo in, proving that he could do everything and be everything. N5 IMS.
JJ, and this is KE5ICX. My comments on this, on the characterization, first off, there it was, as you notice at the end of the movie when they do the grand finale, the stage bows, the final bows at the end of the film, which is done in an incredibly fun way. I thought it was really cool. You realize just how many characters are involved in the show, and they are telling you, hey, it's hard to follow because, look, we got, over 12.5 people that were in this movie and all had pivotal roles? That tells you something right there. Second part of it is that I love the fact that a lot of these actors, some of them were known, others were not. Many of them became well-known. Jeff Goldblum was one who was unknown at the time of this film and later became very well-known. John Lithgow, I love John Lithgow and everything that he's done through the years. He's a very good actor. I enjoy him. Peter Weller, he's appeared in several things, including playing, Marcus in the rebooted series and RoboCop, rebooted Star Trek series and RoboCop and all of that. Let me reset. That would be Peter Weller. Let's see, who else did I miss? Christopher Lloyd, we all know him. He was deep into Taxi, I think, at the time. And I think he did a fine job with this one. There's another actor in this thing who is a character actor that plays in the background. He's appeared in Star Trek, a couple of things. At any rate, why does it matter? Who are these people? Well, they are all character actors. Every one of them is a character actor. They do stuff and they played it over the top. That's what they were hired to do, and they could do it. So it worked out in the end, I think. The movie wasn't a financial success. I don't know if it's ever made its money back, but the intent was that it would be comic book stuff. In fact, we got the comic book part. Hey, the current issue of Buckaroo Banzai just came out, and all the characters are playing to form for that comic book. So I thought it was okay. The crazy plot, you expect that. You expect that in a long, protracted story across multiple episodes, multiple chapters, multiple comic books in this case. I think that just made sense. This movie is eminently reviewable, and once you get it, once you understand that there's more there than meets the eye, you'll go back and find new things over and over and over again. And I think that's why this thing has become a cult classic. This is a cult movie because it's so layered with stuff. Silliness, yeah. Good characters, yeah. Why not? A storyline, we don't know it all, and we won't get to know it all because there's stuff going on. There's pictures, there's framing that goes on. You go, oh, well, Buckaroo Banzai is Oriental connection. What does that mean? And even the narration at the very beginning, he was off in many directions at the same time, doing all these things. It's got 4 professions. Why not? I think that really is right for it is parody. It is not reality in any way, shape, or form, but what the heck? Nothing that we enjoy in movies and television are actually straight-line stuff. Otherwise, they'd look like us, and we don't want that. Well, some of us are fun. The rest of us are less fun. So you're right. I thought I'd mention that. Okay, this is KE5ICX, net control for tonight's Skynet. Skynet, no, we're doing the Afterglow Movie Net. I'll go ahead and open it up. Free discussion, whatever you want. Costuming, anything. Please come now with your call sign. I'll put you on the list and I'll go down in that order. Go ahead now.
KG5P.
All right, I've got W5EBB and KG5P. We'll start with David. Go ahead, your comments.
Okay, 8 dimensions. I was thinking about that. So why 8? Okay, well, assuming we live, or at least commonly observe 4 dimensions, 3 spatial plus 1 time, then, why not dabble first with the 5th, 6th, 7th dimension first before diving head first, literally, into the 8th dimension? Yeah, this is silly, I know. But I thought about it, and maybe if you want to traverse into another physical reality, you must take a full measure, not a half measure or any fraction thereof. So if you live in 4 dimensions now, you need 4 more to fully experience a different one. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Not a complicated theory, simple addition. W5EBB.
David. Next up, KG5P. Mike, go ahead. Anything. You're up.
All right, KG5P. Well, I don't know anything about the 8th dimension. In quantum physics, they say there may be 11 dimensions in string theory and stuff, but that's still yet to be shown. I think Billy had talked about Ellen Barkin. She had a bit part in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. That's sort of based on the so-called gonzo journalist Hunter S. Thompson's book. That guy was a character if you ever want to meet one. But the movie I remember her in was in the Sea of Love. And that was a great movie. If you want to see a good, really tense crime drama, you got to see that one. In fact, I'm going to have to see it again because I just hadn't seen it in a long time. And that is excellent crime drama. In the movie, they had this oscillating overthruster, and I think that had been used in Star Trek: The Next Generation. They had an overthruster in there. Tom maybe remember it. Ellen Barkin and Sea of Love. That's the movie. And then she was in another one that I've probably seen it. I don't remember what it's about, called The Fan, about some psychotic that was stalking an actor. Might be a good one too. Back to net, KG5P.
All right, very good, Mike. I ran out of things to talk about myself. This film, I did enjoy it very much. I will watch it again. Now it's out on HD, and is on streaming, so if you didn't get to see it tonight, you're listening, go watch it. I think you'll find it interesting. There were some very good comments this evening. Okay, I'll go ahead and ask, are there any final check-ins, any final comments? Please come with your call sign now.
5P, final comment.
Hey, KG5P, Mike, you got it. Final comments.
Okay, you mentioned the DVD. Jamie Lee actually had a role playing Buckaroo Banzai's mother in a flashback. It was cut out of the movie that I saw, or that most of us saw, but I believe it's in the DVD. But there were a couple of roles. Her parents were cut out, and one was Jamie Lee Curtis. KG5P.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay, I'll check into that. I didn't know that. More things I didn't know about this movie. All right. I want to thank everybody who checked in. Let's see. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10, 11 people who checked in, including myself. Maybe 12. 12. Brian was there as well. I want to thank everybody who did so this evening. Next week, KG5P recommended this one, said put it on the list, and we'll see what happens. The next movie is The Day the Earth Caught Fire from 1946. That's same bat time, same bat station next week. That will be December 8th. I haven't seen this one. Could be interesting. Who knows? A lot of the movies that we post, I know I haven't seen. So this is one I haven't seen. I hope it's good. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank everybody who checked in tonight, and I think this is my favorite net. So 7-3, have a good evening. We'll see you next week. See you on the radio. KE5I6. I'm clear.
KG5OZL with a quick comment.
KG5P with comment.
Elvis has left the building.
Oh, you guys go ahead. I'll listen.
Okay, Jamie Lee Curtis had a deleted scene in this movie, but is included on the MGM Special Edition DVD 2001 as the alternate opening. So KG5OZL.
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. Tom, The Day the Earth Caught Fire, the one that I was referring to is 1961. I remember when it came out in the theaters, and it's a British sci-fi movie, so it's a little different than the American movies. And if Dave is still here, and Tom, can you stick around a little bit for a few minutes, if that's okay? KG5P.
I will, and I've got it noted. I didn't know there were two versions of this movie, or two movies with the same name. 1961. I will repost. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, well, the other one I don't know anything about, so I can't say anything there. Okay, Tom, you'd mentioned about Facebook. I've had some things come up this last week with Facebook, and I think what they're doing is they're getting into AI. And AI is not really what you'd call a mature technology yet, but here's what happened to me. Back when we did Matinee with John Goodman, and I don't know, that's been over a year ago, I clipped out and posted the movie within the movie with Matt. It was only maybe 5 minutes total. Well, I got a message from Facebook, I think it might have been yesterday or the day before, saying that it was copyrighted material, and I had a choice, either delete it or you know, and I deleted it because it was copyrighted material, but it's been out there for at least a year. The other thing is, last night I was, you know, I built this letter for my grandsons, which they really weren't too excited about. They'd rather play video games. But I made a little clip of that, and then I think off of YouTube I got seconds of the Monster Mash, and you know I hate Windows as bad as you do. I use Linux, and Linux has a program called PTIVI, which is kind of a video editor. So I was fooling around with that, and I took my Jacob's Ladder and I made a Monster Mash soundtrack. Well, I got another message back from Facebook saying that it was violating copyrighted material from some band in Serbia or someplace. And so I think what they're doing is they're going through all this with their AI system, and it works sort of, but not real well. And it's picking all this stuff. We're getting a lot of false positives and stuff like that. You probably got caught in the same dilemma where they see parts of it and they think you're copyright violation, which, you know, you don't want to really do. I mean, I don't want to do it. Another thing is I get, you know, Svengoolie that you watch, and what I like to do with Svengoolie is I make a clip of this Svengoolie song, and Svengoolie has no problem with that, but what usually happens is there's a movie, and the movie kind of segues into Svengoolie song, and then you see, you know, Doug and the Gravestones, and he'll make some comment on it, you know, based on that segue. And usually what I'll do is I'll cut maybe a few seconds of the movie, of the lead into it. But if it's more than that, I've had Facebook come back and say, well, we can't post this because it's a copyright violation. So if it's just a few seconds, you can get away with it. But if anything more than that, you run into their, and I'm pretty sure it's an AI program they have going, because I doubt if, you know, somebody sits back there and looks at all this stuff. So that was my comment to you. Another one for Dave. So, but that was what I had for you, Tom, KG5P.
Regarding what you're talking about, I've run across that as well. One of my moon videos, was rejected about 2 minutes after I posted it because of an audio copyright violation. And honestly, you really don't know, you know, until you post it, whether they're going to object to it or not. And it's certainly automated. It can range from, you know, only certain countries can you see it in, or they'll say, this is okay, but we're going to add ads to the front of your video. And it can range from, you know, several minutes, the full song, or just a small clip. And the fact that they now are able to go within the frame, in the Buck Rogers case, you know, it says they have some pretty advanced video processing, you know, to see, you know, rotation and differences in brightness and all that, to map that to an original video. But you know, I don't think it's any harm to at least try to upload things I know are copyrighted, like the Jaws theme that I put on one of my moon videos, and that went without a problem. So, and sometimes you'll see the same video or music posted by other users, and there's no restriction, and you wonder why can they post that with that content, but I can't. B5EBB. Yeah,
I think it's an AI system, and it works sort of, but they got a way to go on AI. Also, this stuff is available on YouTube, and if YouTube doesn't care, well, why do they care? So, but anyway, they told me to take it off. I'll take it off. They will allow you to do use small parts of it, and so I kept my Monster Mash on there because I didn't use the whole song anyway. I just used little pieces of it, and they'll say they'll let you use that they don't want you to plagiarize the stuff, obviously. Yeah, Dave, if you still want to talk about imaging and stuff, I can tell you what I've been doing, or see if Tom had any other comments. KG5P.
I'm good, guys. Go ahead and continue. I'm going to turn in, I think, 7-3, and thank you both and everybody else for your comments tonight. That was a lot of fun. See you on the radio. KE5ICX, I'm clear.
Well, it was YouTube that I uploaded my videos with music added, and of course YouTube, Facebook, Google, they're all the same company, so they're probably employing the same algorithm. But yeah, I have some time, sure. We can talk about astrophotography, W5EPV.
He's one of the fixtures at the Texas Star Party, and he even has a binocular list that he puts out. So there's a lot of objects you can see with binoculars. And if you get like 20 out of 30 of them, he'll give you a little pin and stuff. And some people collect all of John's pins. Okay, on the imaging, there's 3 things I've been doing. One is I have this SkyRes, which is a CMOS camera. It's a